Well, hi everybody, lovely to be here with you all, and especially because it is the last one. So I'm a life realignment expert, and I help people realign their lives through yoga principles, mental fitness, guidance and support. So we're talking about mental fitness and power breaks today, and what they are and how they can help reduce stress and anxiety. And it's probably feeling like the right time in the afternoon, I think, for many to have that power break. It's that natural lull in the afternoon where you feel like you need it. You've probably got a shed load of work still to get accomplished. So it's that time that could be absolutely ideal. So I hope you enjoy it as well as find it really informative as well. So Rob, if I could have that first slide up, that would be great, thanks. And so everybody can see a little bit more about me. So I've been in the wellness industry for over 25 years now, starting off as a massage therapist and working on cruise liners. And I'm also the co-founder of Healthy Option Holidays, which is runs alongside Wildwind Health holidays in Greece, which you may know already. It's quite popular. I'm also a senior yoga and mindfulness teacher, a wellness, life and mental fitness coach, bodywork therapist, and a certified doula. And if you don't know what a doula is, it's somebody that helps support women going through birth, before birth and after birth. So it's their support, it's mothering the mother and making sure that the mother has everything and all of her wishes taken care of as well. If I could have the next slide, please. Thank you. So how I work with people is by coaching and teaching and guiding those facing major life changes. So it's particularly through midlife for women when life seems to bring a different set of challenges, such as career change, looking after elderly parents, single parenting, having a baby later in life. That is happening very frequently now, 40, 45. So often these challenges have huge impact on our work life and making most days difficult to juggle. So it's not just men that, not just women that I work with men as well. I coach and teach men, just so you don't feel like it's exclusive to women. So yes, next slide, thank you. So power breaks and getting mentally fit. So getting mentally fit is the way to get on top of negative emotions that often hold us back in leading the happy life that we want and making those decisions that step us out of our comfort zone. So they come in all shapes, forms and sizes. If I can have the next slide, please. Thanks so much. As you know, anger, shame, guilt, fear being like the biggest one usually for many people. These are just a few of the negative thought spirals that take over our mind without even knowing sometimes. You might just think that we're feeling a bit sad, or we're feeling depressed, or we're lacking in enthusiasm. But it could be that you're actually beating yourself down about things continually. We're not usually aware that this is what is going on, that it's actually our judge and we're beating ourselves down continually. And it can start to feel like it's a normal way of living. We get stuck in these places and we have so much going on sometimes. It's like chasing our own tail and we're just getting overwhelmed and overwhelmed and overwhelmed. We've all been there. So next slide, please, I think. Yeah, so so mental fitness consists of building mental muscles and neural pathways by repetitions of mental fitness exercises. So these power breaks of repetitions can not only help to calm you down, but research shows that regular power breaks help to build new neural pathways for positive thinking. And this is what we call mental fitness. It keeps your tank of well-being topped up with resilience. So, for example, negative emotions are good for you to an extent. So a negative emotion is a little warning sign, let's say. It's a little alert to say that something is not quite right. And that is like when you put your hand on a hot stove, you get that instant alert that you need to do something. So it's a bit like a survival mechanism, that negative emotion. It is putting you into survival mode or that fight flight. So if you're keeping your hand on the hot stove, it's like those negative emotions are just spiraling around and around and around. So it's having that awareness through the mental fitness repetitions to intercept when you're going to have those negative emotions come up, when you think you might feel like somewhere in the day you might be sabotaged by your judge. So my story behind it and the mental fitness journey that I had was, it came right at exactly the right time for me, because I started separating from my husband from an 18-year marriage 4 years ago. And this was a complete breakdown for me. And from that stemmed huge amounts of self-doubt, huge amounts. It was not being good enough. I'd never felt this way before. I was financially and emotionally unstable, and I felt like my head was being completely screwed up. I didn't recognize myself. I was suffering with so much stress and anxiety, and I'm sure many of you can relate to that. It gets completely overwhelming and we get bogged down with it. So I was self-sabotaging continually. And what I mean by that is my negative emotions were just going round and round in my head. My judge was giving me a hard time about what happened, how I was trying to make life perfect again. It was having a huge impact on my mental health. And it's taken some time to shift out of that. And that is even with having my background in wellness and health and being a yoga teacher. So as an example, this is what it sounded like in my head. Varvara, you see, you were never good enough. You've broken up the family. Your children will never forgive you. I will never manage alone. I'm too weak. Why is this happening to me? What will friends think of me being broken down and unable to cope? If life isn't perfect, then it's not good enough. So as you can imagine, that is, that's to an extreme, of course, but many people have this, and youngsters as well, that I see are experiencing this all through their lives. And stress and anxiety is huge for many, many people now. So how do we get on top of it? How do we begin to make us mentally fit? So just if you're physically fit, you can climb mountains without physical stress and going to the gym and getting bigger muscles. If you're mentally fit, you can handle life's challenges without mental stress and negative emotions. You stay in that positive mindset more frequently. There's less dips. You're able to intercept when you think you might be keeping your hand on that hot stove continually. So has anybody experienced mindfulness, meditation, or similar practices? I know you have, Rob, before. You've told me about your yoga practice. So thank you. You've got your hand up as well. Thank you. So many differences of mindfulness and meditation can be compared to mental fitness is that the mindfulness and meditation route can often, although wonderful, and as I've experienced, it's a wonderful way to deal with stress and anxiety. The mental fitness approach, however, gives you a very simple structure to work with within those skills, within that skill set. differences also is that mindfulness, and how the word is a little bit overused now, because a lot of people tend to use mindfulness as a way of saying being cautious, whereas mindfulness is really about bringing yourself back to the present moment and keep repeating that, bringing yourself back to what's happening here and now. So in Sanskrit, mindfulness means to keep bringing yourself back. So the difference with the mental fitness is that it's about using self-command. It's about deliberately bringing yourself back to what you're doing, which is usually focused on breath work or sensation or sound or smell. So yeah, so the mental fitness drew me out of my anxious and stressed state and gave me simple approaches to share with my clients that wasn't going down that road of that traditional and ancient practice of yoga and meditation that I know so well. So it was a really great framework for them to work with, and it was getting some great results, really brilliant results. So I work with people in pods and individually as well. Can I have the next slide, please? Because I'm a little bit lost. Okay, super, thank you. So results from mental fitness and practicing is feeling positive, which is feeling that things are going to be okay. Experiencing ease and flow. It's a deep knowing that when we flow through our life and flowing through our daily work life and dealing with people, dealing with everything we have in our life, we appreciate those moments and we find gratitude easier. Also contentment, not feeling lack of something in your life. And also connection, feeling a deeper connection to yourself. As if we're flowing calmly in our daily life, we're able to live, function at our very best, and our health stays optimum. We're able to achieve goals that we set for ourselves. So I'd like to take you through your power break today. So what I wanted to do for you today, this afternoon, was to get you into the zone with getting into your breath and using some particular techniques of mindfulness and meditation. And then let's see how we are for time. And then I wanted to give you a 2-minute power break. And after that, we can have some questions. I've got a few coaching questions that I'd just like to share with you just to help on that thought process afterwards of how you may be able to implement that in your daily life and what will help you to stick to it. Because that's usually the thing, is like, why can't we stick to something that we know is going to help us and we enjoy doing? So if you want to get comfortable, you can feel free to take a seat on the floor if you want to, or stay seated in your chair, wherever you choose. And just get yourself into a really comfortable place, feet grounding down onto the floor. If you feel particularly conscious of doing this with everybody, you can turn off your video. I don't mind if you want to not be seen with your eyes closed. So wherever you feel you can benefit from having this break. So root down through your seat, wherever you're sitting, whether it's on the floor, whether it's in your chair, and feet ideally connected to the floor in some way. So you get that sense of being grounded. And arms resting down, hands resting, maybe on your lap, maybe cupped together, maybe resting on your thighs, and relaxing down through your shoulders. And start by taking deliberate breaths. 3 deliberate breaths. So really encouraging your inhale to be nice and strong, filling your lungs with fresh oxygen. And as you exhale, releasing tension through your shoulders and getting even more comfortable into your seat, getting comfortable into your body, resting fully. Breathing in, breathing out. So this is going to increase awareness of your breath, increase awareness of your body and your surroundings, bring you out of any stress and anxiety or anything that you've been giving yourself a hard time about. Notice your inhale and exhale as much as you possibly can. So it's about taking your attention away from your thoughts and what you're doing, what you're thinking about, and into your body, into your breath. So notice the temperature of breath as it comes in, maybe a little bit cooler. Notice the breath as it comes out, maybe a little bit warmer, having warmed from your system, from your body. Notice that flow of your breath. Accept however your breath is feeling, whether it's feeling a little bit more jittery, whether it's flowing nice and smoothly. Feel your belly expanding as you breathe in and releasing as you breathe out. Nice, soft, flowing breaths. Start to hear your breath. It's really important that we hear our breath. We know that we're breathing then. We know we're alive, we're existing. Breathing in, breathing out. And relax through your eyes, relax through your eyebrows, relax the face. Allow yourself to just be. Bring your attention to some sounds that are outside, perhaps as far away as you could possibly imagine. Maybe it's a little hum of traffic, maybe it's something in the distance. Try and notice that sound far away. If your mind has gone to something else, bring your awareness to that new sound. And continue to focus on your breath. Focus on the inhale, filling the lungs with fresh oxygen, on the exhale, releasing. I want you to start feeling and experiencing that letting go as you breathe out. No more clinging hold of anything. It's just able to let go, release from your body. Letting go of tension, letting go of anything that no longer serves you at this moment. Breathing in and breathing out. And when you feel ready, gently opening up the eyes. We're not going to come into an alert place, just to open up the eyes and reset. And then we're going to bring ourselves into a 2-minute mental fitness power break. So I'm timing that 2 minutes so you can see how short it is. how easy and accessible it is to add it into your day. So feel all the sensations in your body, outside sounds, smells. What is the most dominant sensation? Smell, sound, or what? What is drawing your attention? Label it, and then bring yourself back to your breath, deliberately inhaling, exhaling. Now, what is the most dominant sensation in your body? Sound, smell, thought. If it's the same, label it again. If it's changed, label that. And then bring yourself back to your breath. Focus on what is the most dominant sound, sensation in your body, outside your body. What's demanding your attention? Recognize that. Label it and bring yourself back to your breath. And gently opening up the eyes. And that was 2 minutes only. So you can see how little time it takes to just do those simple exercises. How does everybody feel? Has that sleepy? Has that recharged you?
Definitely. Thank you. Definitely feel more relaxed.
Good, good. So just some brief questions to ask yourself of how you can get more power breaks in your day. How could you do that? Just those 2 minutes. If you were doing 2 minutes 3 times a day, is that possible? And if so, what gets in your way? So we know that these are really amazing, useful tools to just be able to take those really, really short, sharp power breaks. We don't need an extensive meditation time. What do you do already in the day that is a habit that you can add this habit onto? So this is really vital for helping it stick into your daily life, is getting a habit and then bringing the new one onto it. So it could be just going to the bathroom. And when to power break? When could be the ideal times for you to take your power break? First thing in the morning is a great time to start your day with a power break, meditation, whatever you want to use. And then throughout the day when you might be busier, when are those times going to suit you so you stick to it? Could it be after lunch? Could it be at that time when you're having that lull in the afternoon? Is it going to be just before that really stressful phone call? And could it be just before you go to bed? Could it be that it's going to be that time that's going to help you diffuse the day and help you sleep easier? Maybe you're struggling with sleep because of your anxiety and stress. So I'd love to hear in a moment what you thought of that, and also any questions, of course. I'm next running my mental fitness pods and individuals in September, from September. And I've got a really fun quiz through Positive Intelligence, which is all about your saboteurs. So if you're interested in doing the quiz, I can email that to you, and that links you through to a really simple quiz, and you can see which are your top saboteurs. And then from that, it makes it all more interesting, knowing where you are sabotaging, where you're giving yourself a really hard time, and why it's causing this stress and anxiety. So thank you for being part of today, and any questions I will welcome gratefully. Can I just have the last slide on as well, please, Rob, actually, because that's just got some of my details on, I think. Yeah. Thanks.
So a comment from me, Varvara, is that I just find it hard to develop self-discipline to do that. I can do a guided exercise like we did just now, or an online yoga class or whatever. I can break out and do that, no problem. But actually trying to develop the routine and the discipline to do it off my own back, I really struggle with. Yeah. It is really difficult. I've experienced it myself too. So those are the questions of when can it, the morning power break or meditation, I find, is the key one. It really sets you in your steed. It's making that time in the morning to do it when you're quiet, when you're not disturbed, before you pick up your phone or answer any emails or even look at any emails, that you give yourself that opportunity of being with yourself, being with your own thoughts. Perhaps you're going to combine it with journaling before your day, actually seeing what's ahead of you. It's just a way of kind of projecting out, what have I got today? What may I get tripped up by? When might I get really stressed? And so the morning one is really, really vital, I feel. And then the ones in the afternoon are the trickier ones to get in place. And often I have clients that are perhaps setting alarms, whether it's a little reminder. Sometimes that can work for them to actually have something in place. Also, like I said, about joining it onto another habit. So it could be like, before you have lunch, you have a 2-minute power break before you have lunch. And that could be a way of also looking at digestion and, eating quietly, not being disturbed, and just getting you into the zone of eating and relaxing while you're eating. Same goes for dinner time. Did that help? Thank you. Let's hop out the slideshow so we've got a better view of people.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here we are then.
I can see you all now.
That was wonderful, Varvara. Is that your name?
Varvara. Yeah.
Varvara. Yeah, I was trying to avoid saying it because
I'm half Greek. That's okay. I've been called loads of different things before, so don't worry.
I love the concept of mental fitness, because there's a complete fixation on running and hopping and skipping through life, but actually your mental fitness is as important, if not more important. I might nick that. Mental fitness, very good. I'm doing a program, so we must connect, because you could do a good slot on it.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, thank you, Caroline. Yeah.
I'm wondering if you're available to read bedtime stories. You've got a wonderful way.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very soothing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really useful for me, actually, because I sit at my desk for 6 or 7 hours a day and don't really move. So for me, it will be a case of I need to add structured breaks. So that would actually be a good reason for me to get off my chair and go and do it somewhere else and then come back. So I think that's going to be very useful. Yeah, we do associate our we kind of feel like, even if we're taking a break, sometimes we're taking a break at the desk. And although it's quite useful to think that we might be able to do a PQ, a 2-minute power break at the desk, it's also good to just take it away
even if it is just, you know, when you pop to the toilet, those are your breaths. You know, you're sitting, eyes closed. Because if you're in an office, let's face it, you haven't got the space. If you're with other people, you haven't got the space to do it. So that might be your only option, could be stepping outside for a moment and doing that with eyes closed. I find that most people, because it's not really taboo anymore that people meditate or have a type of power break. I think if you see somebody with their eyes closed on the train, whatever, it's not looked badly upon anymore. You just think, okay, they're either meditating or they're resting or sleeping. So yeah, the more we can just do this openly, I think it's great.
But picking up on the point Sandra's just made, this is not for those of us who work in a shared office environment, but for those on our own. Actually, if you are sitting all the time in a near rigid position at the screen, a really great thing to do is to do that exercise whilst you're laid down on the floor on the yoga mat, and actually change your posture for that few minutes.
Definitely. Yeah, even better. Yeah, even better. Yeah, and if you've got your yoga mat just there in your office, there's no excuse. It's staring at you the whole day for you to get on it.
I have exactly that. If it wasn't going to wreck my camera setup, I would show you my purple yoga mat lying on the floor beside me.
I saw John Cleese do a wonderful management talk on the importance of doing nothing. Because he was saying to employers that when we're doing nothing is actually when we have our best imaginations and creations. But have you, or do you go into employers to convince them that all their staff being asleep for 2 minutes twice a day or 3 times a day is a good idea?
Yeah, I don't think they would like that. You might not think that's very productive.
I can imagine in a call center, you know, it's all timed by the second and how long you go to the loo. Oh, sorry, I was asleep.
Yeah.
But actually it would do them good if they could do that.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of businesses now are taking on wellness coaches for their teams, and you know that's a really great thing. The more that can do that, the better.
Without wanting to trivialize it, it takes me back to a saying that my granddad used to have when we were kids, and he would say, "No, I wasn't asleep. I was just resting my eyes."
Yeah, exactly.
A thing I do is I'm a bit of a YouTube fan, and I'm currently watching Noodles the Pooch. I do recommend it. It's a little about 50-second clip of a dog doing silly things. And I find that doing something different like that is an alternative way that can have the same effect. And it's so radically different. It's so ridiculous, but it cheers me up.
Yes, it's getting yourself out of that space and just changing your mindset. Totally. And the mental fitness with the self-command that you're practicing of continually bringing yourself back into that place, it is building up that muscle that is so vital. It's bringing you into also a more sage perspective. So if you feel like things are getting too much, somebody else is bringing their anxiety and stress towards you, it's taking you into that place. And then if you have that sage perspective and you're calm, the other person gets the same back. So it's just, it works in that same way. If we reflect our anxiety and stress back to that person, they're going to be just bringing it back to us again. So
I put my email address in the chat to have your quiz.
Great. Fabulous. Yeah, I'll make a note of that and I'll send that off to Caroline. Yeah, I think you'll find that really interesting and good fun as well. We'll connect on that.
No, I'll definitely connect with you then.
Yeah. Can I help with anything else regarding what we've just gone through? Any questions or feelings about it? Turn around and tell me it's complete nonsense as well.
What's the technique that you find yourself teaching people the most when you're working with them?
So because I've practiced yoga for over 25 years, you know, I use a lot of my yoga principles with my work, whether I'm coaching, whether I'm teaching yoga. So the breath work is the primary source that I use. I think it's all about the breath. If we're breathing correctly, if we're breathing openly,
There's breath work as well with postnatal mothers, of course, as well, in preparation. So it's mainly breath work along with mindfulness. And the power breaks vary as well. And on the positive intelligence, on the mental fitness program, you have an app and with various guided meditations and power breaks. And it could be a moving mental fitness mind gym of 2 minutes. It could be something that whilst you're out walking that you could use. So focusing on each step that you're taking with your breath, being completely into your body whilst you're moving. You could be on an exercise bike, you could be at the gym, you're physically working out. So the point is that you get into your body, you get into your breath, and it's a way of connecting back to you and your true self, and not relying on the thoughts and the thought process taking over you, because that is usually your judgmental mind and full of all sorts of stored memories of how things should be. So really all of the exercises and practices within yoga are about bringing yourself back to your true essence and recognizing the mind as being a separate thing, rather than identifying with our thoughts and identifying with our mind. And that's where it can take over.
Do you think that some people have issues with health? So they could be quite scared of certain things that are going on in their body. Do you think that focusing in on yourself and concentrating on these things, that could actually make it worse, or could it?
Can you give me an example of like of how they might feel in their body?
So just if, for example, I know many years ago I used to have panic attacks, and a symptom for me was tightness of the throat. So if I got stressed, then I knew that was the first signal. So although you might have it under control now, if you start thinking about how your body's feeling and just relaxing, you can start to feel those things. You're actually concentrating on it more, rather than just saying,
yeah,
you know what, just let that go.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I can relate to that as well, because I think in times where I felt stuck in my head and my thoughts, by doing a mindfulness practice, like you said, it's made me focus a lot on what's going on, and actually it hasn't been a comfortable place to be in. I haven't, the present moment is not always comfortable, so I think then it's using techniques of sound and being outside of your body and listening to your environment, being out in nature. But if you were my client in my studio, for example, I would use a lot of touch. I'd bring my skills of touch, and I do lots of neck adjustments, head, lots of stretch and progression within the yoga as well. And that helps the feeling of care and reassurance. So from that, it starts building, because that feeling of panic and tightness in the throat is usually of feeling like you're not safe and you're panicking and everything's closing in on you. So the feeling of touch and somebody being there for you is incredibly powerful, because then from that place you can feel safe to then explore into how you're breathing. You start to feel okay with everything. That's how I would approach it, probably, if somebody was with me.
I could see how that could work, actually. Yeah.
Mm.